Hey guys, welcome back to this Miss Hero YouTube channel. Remember, we deleted the sunroof. Everything's gone. There's no turning back now, so we gotta make a sunroof. And I've been trying to make it out of carbon fiber, and I've had many attempts, many failures. Here's 2, there's 3 over there, and I think I had a 4th somewhere that was just total junk. We just threw it away. I got a pretty good plan now. I'll show you guys the stuff I'm using. Everything's from fiberglass. I did originally try it with this like artist resin stuff, but it didn't work out well. Try to just get something that's actually made for this type of a job. I have taken off the seal all the way around, so now it brings it in tighter. So hopefully once it's done, we can set it in without it being too big. We'll see how it goes. So once it's all cleaned off, you pulled everything off, you sand everything down, and you use this Partle wax stuff. And you literally just put it on, you just buff it on, buff it off, and then this is the mold release. This aids with mold release as well, but this is like the 1-2 punch, you know what I mean? This way your mold should be able to pop right off no matter what you're doing. This stuff, you can spray it with a spray gun, but we just use these like little foam brushes, and we just brush it on, and you see it's nice and shiny now, so you know that it's all over the place. So that catches you up with this. My plan is to leave excess. So think of this, and then we're leaving this extra flapped purposely for I can put it into the sunroof and it'll be flanged, and then I'll be able to have the loose fabric like this, and I'll be able to kind of stick it to the roof. I'll use like I'll use some spray adhesive and put it up on the roof, and I will put resin up there, and that way I'll get that to be a solid mold. And then hopefully I should be able to, after it's all done, pop it out, paint the car, and then put it back in with a bunch of 3M window weld. That's the idea of it. Who knows if I'll ever get there, but I've done this so many times. I think this is gonna be the final attempt. Whatever happens, I think I'm gonna have to just stick with it now. I got this regular 2x2 twill. I forget which K it is. If I'll put it in the description if I can, but this is just off fiberglass site as well. It was a big roll of it, so that's what we have. My buddy Frank gave it to me, so I'm gonna be using that stuff. I bought this stuff a little while ago. This stuff mixes 3-to-1, so you'll have to, you know, do your measurements on the mixing thing. And the 60 on this, that's not the cure time. I kind of thought that's what it was, but it's not. It's actually how long you have to use the stuff. Curing takes, there's so many factors in it. It's where you're setting up, how cold everything is, how hot everything is. Put it out in the sun, it'll dry a little bit faster as well. I think the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take this spray adhesive, and because of these edges, how it comes down, it's really hard to get a nice stick on here. Spray adhesive all around the side of it, because when you put the carbon fiber down on the edges, it'll kind of like curl and bubble out, and it won't contour. So that's what that spray adhesive's for. So our first layer will just have spray adhesive on the sides. We'll set down the carbon fiber, and we'll just kind of dump it on, and we will use these body putty squeegees to kind of scrape it, and we'll get it all around, and we'll try our best to only put resin on this upper edge of the side because you don't want it to come down too far. So that's the plan, and then after that, then we'll do multiple layers. We'll try to do 3 layers, I think. And we're gonna use squeegee for the first layer. Then we'll put the second layer down, and we'll use the roller. You guys will see it. I'm not sure if I'll do everything in a time lapse. The main thing with this is to try to get a good enough plug, whatever, in that's good enough. I can't be perfecting it anymore. It's got to be good enough to get it in there, because we have to start going harder on this car. It's the end of the season here, so now we got about 4 months to get it ready. We got all the pieces laid out. We got that first piece to where we can lay it diagonal like that. That way the carbon fiber strands are in a different position. Maybe it'll make it stronger, I'm hoping. We got it high up off the cardboard, and we sprayed the outer edge with the Super 77 spray adhesive. Our first plan is to get this down, and then we'll start mixing. And then once we start mixing, we're gonna lay it on, and we're gonna use Bondo putty spreaders. Get it as flat as possible. Then we'll lay down the next layer, and that's when we'll go to using the roller to try to get everything as nice and even as possible. Yeah, mix the stuff for like a minute, and we're gonna put it down. It's gonna be squeegeeing a lot and using the paintbrush too. So you get 60 minutes on that stuff. So hopefully we'll be able to let all this up within an hour and shouldn't have an issue. And all the excess I'm gonna squeegee into either this cup, that cup, so we can just keep reusing it until we need more. So here's what we were talking about. You can probably physically see it. You see like the smear bubble? So it's just coming through. Let's show the bottom of it. And you see there's all the excess resin. So by using the squeegee, she's kind of pushing it down, making sure it goes into all the fibers. Yeah, it seems to work.
But I'm not putting a whole lot of pressure either.
When you have like little weave spots up like that, you just try to find where they are and you pull. We're just gonna run through this, and then we'll get another layer out, lay it on top, do the process again, but hopefully with the roller to keep it nice and flat. The spray adhesive is working. It's keeping a nice edge. I don't know what to do with the next layer. Guess we just gotta hope that it'll conform to it as well. We're gonna get the next layer and throw it on. Luckily, this stuff doesn't stink too bad. I thought it would have been worse, but we do have the heater on out here. It'll probably stay on all night and just try to cook this thing. Second layer's down. We're having trouble with what to do with the edges. I don't really know how this last one's gonna go. The whole idea was to have it on top and the fabric kind of laying like how this one did. That way I can build a flange off of it later. If I can, I can't, but we're gonna try something. If it doesn't work, then we'll probably just trim it on this next pass. But so we're on the last one now. I tried to use the roller. The roller didn't work very well, so we're just sticking with the squeegee and the paintbrush. That's the last layer with the last coat. So we're gonna do one top coat on top of it.
Invincible.
We are done with the first part of it. As long as everything goes to plan, we should be able to put it in the car tomorrow after it hardens. Each time I think I got it and it'll be good, but this is, I think it's just really complex. I'm trying to think of maybe a better way. If this doesn't work out, I'm trying to think of a different way to go about it, because I've tried it this way 2 times now, and first time didn't work out. This time we're gonna see if it works out. I'm no professional by any means, so just winging it, seeing what we can do. So yeah, we'll just let this cure. We have the heater on all night. Hopefully it's good. Maybe we'll be able to see it in the morning or after work tomorrow. So I'll see you guys then. Not talking good today, but you can see the plug is off, and I didn't record it because I was thinking it's junk and I'll have to make a brand new one. But when we did pop it off, it actually fit really good. So here's the plug now. I set it in the car and pried it all up, because you got to use a little bit of force. It kind of like holds in there on its own. When we got it to where it was nice, it looked really good. I'll put a picture in if I can. And then what we did was I went around with a silver Sharpie. So I went around all the edges inside the car. So like right here, we would have been on the other side of this flange, marking it like that. And then I just went with my cutoff wheel. I have a little Dremel, and I just blasted through it. And then anything that was stranded, I use scissors for. So my original idea of kind of leaving excess, it didn't work, because like some of it would be hard here and then loose down here and hard over here and hard over here. So it was just too varying. So if I were to redo it again, I would make my pieces smaller so I can get closer to this style, and then you could just cut it off and save some material. Now what we have just done, Jamie went inside and she cleaned everything, and we put an old blanket down. So up here, everywhere where I want this flange, so remember, the sunroof's gonna be here, and then I want another piece of carbon coming off of it under and conforming to all these surfaces to make it as a flange. We put the PVA release stuff up here, so hopefully when we bond it, it won't get stuck to the roof. What we're gonna do is take the spray adhesive, and we're gonna spray everything up here and around like that. And then what we'll also do is we'll spray adhesive this. Well, first we'll get this into place. I'll get it in exactly where I want it, and then I'll spray adhesive everything together. And then that way we can take all of our excess strands. We can cut these however we need them. And we'll stick them to the sunroof plug and to the roof. And then once everything's really nice and tight, then we'll apply a first layer of resin. We'll try to do it light, see if it wants to sag. If it doesn't want to sag, then we know we're good. But I was thinking we would let it cure, because technically you're supposed to keep going within the 60 minutes of the pot life. So I think what we'll do is we'll put the resin up there, put the first piece of carbon down there, then we'll probably wait like 10 or 20 minutes, and then I'll spray adhesive it again and try to put another layer on there. I would like to have 2 underneath layers if possible, maybe even 3. Basically, if as long as it's not sagging, I'm gonna keep adding stuff to it. And then we'll let it cure. It's gonna stay in here. We'll put the heater inside the car. Whenever it's done fully cured, then we'll be able to pop it out. And then as long as it comes out as a nice complete unit, we could add more structure into here, like putting cross braces. And then we'll also be able to sand the top and do a final thin coat of resin to make it nice and shiny. This is just initially fitting it again. You can see it looks really good. It's hard because we're in a garage. We don't have great lighting, but I think it looks really good right now. So this is all kind of like a tension fit. As of right now, we want to try to set it the best we can. And remember, all this is going to be filled in with sealer, and as well from underneath, it's going to be all sealed in and epoxied in place. So since we have it like that, you can see air light gaps and stuff. See, we've sanded this. The only part we didn't sand was the glossy in the middle because we have the arrow, because this is directional front and rear. We're not bonding it to like this part of the car. We're only bonding it to the roof. So all the PVA is on the roof side like that down. We're gonna take the spray 77 and we're gonna spray all of that part of the roof, all of the sanded part of the carbon roof. What that'll hopefully do is allow us, you see I have everything kind of laid out here. We're gonna have 2 more layers. Hopefully it works right. So it's gonna be 2 layers front and rear, 2 layers on the side. We're gonna do the front and rear layers first because there's more area, so hopefully it'll keep it from ever wanting to pop out. And we'll do our 3-to-1 mix, which we're actually gonna add more hardener because I don't know what the issue is, but we haven't been able to get it hard enough yet. And then we'll do 1 layer all the way around, try to get it as tucked up as possible and not saturate it to where it'll drop down. Here's it all flanged. You can see it's all holding up pretty good. We're just gonna do the 1 layer and resin it, see how it is. So we got the stuff mixed. We put more hardener in it this time. So she's just gonna try to follow along because like, this is like the extra stuff I'm saying I don't need. Just try to keep it contained. And then she's gonna try to spread it out into there. The stuff is just too heavy. Even though we spray adhesive it on, it still wants to pull down with all the epoxy. This is how it looks now. We have some clips in the front holding it in place. We're just gonna have to let it cure. We got the heater in here. We'll just have to leave it for now. Come back and hope that it's good. So we'll see when that happens. As of now, it's in place. Looks good. Hopefully it'll work. Next day, and you can see the sunroof is physically in. You can kind of hear the difference in it. You can see everything's hard now. But what we're gonna do, because we could only lay up 1 layer of this, grab ends of it, pull it down like this, try to get it to break it, and you can see it kind of goes back to its shape. So once we get it all down, then we'll probably have to sand it all again, put it up there, and then every bit of scrap I have, add more layers to it. But man, it's pretty solid now. It's moving the whole car. We just gotta get it out and see how good it is. One thing you gotta be careful with is all these like carbon splinters. Oh. What?
I thought I was gonna fucking break.
So here are my Sharpie lines. Everything's all cut down to our marks. We sanded everything down. And now I have a bunch of random carbon fiber bits. And as I'm putting them down, she's gonna be laying them up with the resin, and I'm gonna be trimming it as best I can to get it as close to this as we can. This is the most flimsy area, So I'm gonna try to put at least 2 pieces here and try to get everywhere fully covered with at least one. I literally just put as much scraps on here as I could. I got clamps up there trying to hold it. The whole point is to make it strong. Unfortunately, underneath, it's gonna be pretty ugly. We could maybe like do an extra layer of resin after it hardens to make it look nicer, but what's the point? Maybe I'll probably just sand down the edges just so I don't ever stab myself when I touch the roof or anything. This is probably gonna have to cure for a few days because we put a lot on, we put a lot of layers on. It's probably gonna be a day and a half at least. And then after that's done, take it back apart, see how it fits. If it fits in there, then we can do that final coat of epoxy on the top. This has been a long time coming. I've had so many different portions and attempts. I'm happy that there's finally some sort of progress. Next day after everything is set up, it's a lot stronger now, so this isn't flimsy at all. Everything's much harder than it was. I'll just have to cut that off and sand this stuff flat. But the point is that everything's good. So all we have to do now will be just to sand this and put the final coat of resin on. So that's what we're gonna do now. Cleaned everything, sanded it. Now she's just gotta do the best job she can to lay it on relatively thick, but not too thick. That way it'll have some gloss to it. All done now. We're just gonna let it cure again, leave the heater on overnight and see how it looks in the morning. But you see it's got a nice layer to it. I think it looks real good. Jamie did a great job. Couldn't have done it without her, so pretty happy with it right now. Yeah, I'm hoping that it'll stay this nice and shiny. Hopefully tomorrow. If not, maybe the next day. We'll see. Would have probably been a lot easier to do a less complex thing. You think that a sunroof plug would be really simple, but this thing has been kicking my ass for so long that I'm finally I have something that I think is good enough that I can make it work. But I think it's gonna be really strong. I think it's gonna last a while in the car. I'm just excited because now I can see the car. I can see the car starting to take shape, even though it still looks like this. Really excited, guys. Days and days later, keep in mind that like we do the final coat and then we see an issue, so then we sanded it down again and then we did another final coat. But one big thing, guys, this is an attached garage. We had a heater in here and it was tacky. What we found was the best option was to make an oven. Obviously we don't have an oven this big, so we got a gigantic box, and I'll put a picture of it. But what we did was we set the sunroof inside of it and had the heater right in front of it, just keeping this like an oven, and it worked instantly. It cured it in about 8 hours. So everything's completely done now. It's got fingerprints and stuff on it. Keep in mind that this will be clear coated, so all this gets sanded down smooth, just like if you were doing a paint job. You would sand it down and cut and buff it. That's kind of what you have to do with this. We could have sat out here and tried to get the bubbles while it was drying, but it's a lot of extra work. Hopefully it doesn't bite us. So we'll be sanding this down whenever I get around to painting the car. So this will be sanded with the car, and whenever I do the clear coat application on the car or body, whatever parts I'm doing at the time, I'll throw this in and clear coat this. Just try to do a final test fit in the car see how easy it goes. So see you in a second. So I had to go around and kind of wiggle all these open because there was like resin that had gotten down in there, even though we tried to keep it out. It's just bound to happen. And here we still got to clean the whole roof off. We still got PVA and all. This is just test fitting and making sure it fits. Didn't really show us getting it in because there was so much like excess resin along the edges, because remember we made that flange, so it was a lot of putting it in, nope, that doesn't fit, taking it back out, grind some, putting it back in, doesn't fit, you know, that kind of stuff. Well, we finally got it set in place now, so this looks exactly how we initially started. It's exactly what we wanted. It looks really good. Now the back end is a little loose, just because remember this side doesn't have the cup flange. It has the big wide grip area back here, as well as the front does too. Obviously it's not bonded yet because I plan on doing body work to the car. This will be sanded and clear coated whenever that time comes, but just being in here now, you can see how the roof is pretty solid. I think it's plenty strong for what we have. Here's a little insight to what we've done so far. There's plenty more that have gotten thrown away because they were just too terrible. But you can see how many attempts we've had at this. Fortunately, it cost a lot of money, but I think it's worth it in the end to get the result that we finally wanted. The worst part about it is it took a lot of time because we've never done it before. So we just had lots of issues with everything. This was probably the best one we did, but we made a big mistake on this one where we did every layup individual. So you can't do any individual layups. You gotta basically have it all together at once. And that was another issue with this one. We only did one layer. As flimsy as can be, but this was probably the second closest one we've gotten. We're off to a really good start. I don't know if we'll immediately get to prepping the car for paint. I think that makes sense, but then again, who knows at this point. Remember, the interior is not getting painted anytime soon. If I do paint it, it'll just be rattle can basically. There's still a ton of metal that can be cut out of here. I'm not cutting it yet because I don't know what I'll need out yet. Remember, we're gonna be trying to make some more carbon fiber parts later. We've gotten a lot of experience with this stuff, so I think we should have no problem making the other parts we wanna make. I plan to make fenders, trunk, and a hood eventually. I think the first thing we'll probably make is a trunk, just because I think that's the simplest thing to make, but we'll see. Anyway, guys, just remember, a 3.6 is going in here. We're way behind schedule. It's life. I have so many projects going on. We did other projects here and there in the middle. I'm still saving up for the cams when I get the cams, because what I've been doing is buying all the supporting stuff that goes with it. So I bought springs and retainers. I bought lifter shims. I'm not sure if we're gonna get right into trying to body work and paint the car. There are those little spots in the firewall engine bay that we gotta figure out and fix. And then really I gotta figure out what the whole plan is, because I keep thinking about things, and the only way to go fast in an all-motor car is to be really light and have horsepower. I'm really confident in the 3.6 to be able to make at least 300 horsepower, and I think with all the mods we should be able to make some more. I really want to get the car to about 1,800 pounds, which I have no basis on anything besides that's what I want to make it. Like I said, this is a huge step, so if you guys can give me a like, comment, subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you guys out to all the races next year.